No chemicals or preservatives, just 100% honest to goodness hickory smoked meat.
Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Boy, some chicken wings have really hit the spot.
You ain't got no better food like some chicken wings, some baby back ribs, some fries or something?
It's just two guys talking, am I right? We're just talking.
Hey, howdy, hey, everybody. John here with Mike in the pit.
What is up? I don't know. I need a catchphrase. What's cooking? Good looking? I don't know.
I know, I can't help but laugh every time in that intro. Put another shrimp on the barbie.
Yeah.
I'm not a big shrimp fan.
It's fine. I mean, I'm not way into it. I know people love it.
So I'm weird because I like prawns. Like
Okay.
the big shrimp, like Gulf prawns.
Yeah.
In a boil, I'm down.
Really?
Those,
I don't think I've ever had them in a boil. I've never had like a crawfish boil.
Dude, we've got to go on a
We
trip.
should try it. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm into it. It looks delicious, but I just
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
With that, hi everybody.
Hey, people got to listen to this, John. We should probably.
I should call
Address
this out.
them a
You
little
were pointing at our new
I
artwork
was, yes.
back here.
New artwork.
This was in my office before I bailed on corporate life.
Nice.
This was Clay's first ever picture that he drew, like, of people
Oh, okay. I like it.
that you could like really tell there were people,
Yeah.
and that's me,
Nice.
and that's my barbecue.
Hey, that's awesome. I'm digging it.
Teaching my boy right.
Heck yeah, man.
Don't draw dad unless you're gonna draw his barbecue at the same time.
That's awesome.
So, I found that last week while I was going through some stuff, and I was like, I know where this can go.
There you go.
So,
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
yeah, he is very much into art projects and painting and coloring, and so
That's cool.
it is
cool.
until there are art projects everywhere.
Till the fridge is covered and you're like, oh my gosh.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's fun. So, yeah. What are we talking about, Mike?
I don't know. This is kind of a weird episode because we're trying to plan ahead because life's getting busy. And so we're trying to have some episodes in the vault so that when we can't record, we can record. And we did all our catching up on the last episode, so it feels inauthentic to do it again.
I know. We're saving this one so no one has to rewatch an old episode like they did at some point in the past whenever this one airs.
Yeah.
This is going into the vault. So Mike and I just got done recording an awesome episode that you're going to love. Try and guess which one it is.
Wink, wink.
But what are we talking about in this one?
So I think that this is really good for our listeners because we are backyard barbecuists. Is that how you'd say that? Barbecuers?
I would have gone
Barbecuists.
barbecuers, but I'm okay with barbecuists.
Barbecuist. And you know what? We're family men. We're trying to do things on a budget sometimes. We're trying to save a little bit of money where we can. And so that's kind of what we thought we would talk about today. And there's a bunch of different ways to do that.
Yeah. So budgets and saving money, especially when you're getting started, I feel like you go and you look at some of the stuff and it's like, oh, I've got to drop, $1,000 on a grill. And then you go, if you go into Costco and the Traeger guys are there, like, okay, I'm going to drop $800 on a grill. Hey, we'll go in the back and get some meat. And then you get back there and it's like, oh, $80 on a brisket.
Yeah.
Or, it can add up really quick and feel overwhelming. And it doesn't have to get started. And it doesn't have to be the dirty look from your partner when you come home from the store and you were trying to stay in a grocery budget and you spent half of it on one cut of meat.
Yeah. And it can still be delicious. Like when we say it doesn't have to be, it's not like you can just suffer in silence. Like you can make some delicious stuff without paying a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
So,
and like they're easy things to do. So there's some substitution stuff that you can do.
yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just dive into it. So with cuts of meat, you don't always have to buy what you want to have the experience. Like you can cook a lot of things and have it taste like brisket.
Yeah, absolutely. Chuck roast is a really good, like usually less expensive, and usually, I mean, it's still delicious.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that 8 out of 10 people I know I could put chuck roast in front of and tell them it was brisket, and they'd have no idea.
Yeah, I agree. And it's so versatile. You can still do a lot of stuff with a chuck roast. So
Yeah. So the chuck roast acts a lot like the point, the fattier side. And if you want the lean side, like if you really like that, like Haley doesn't love the point, like she doesn't like that fatty meat. It's a little more per pound, but it's a smaller cut. You can get a tri-tip.
Oh yeah.
And cook tri-tip brisket style. You can cook it low and slow.
I've done that, and it's delicious.
Yeah, and it acts just like a flat.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
you can do that. And when in doubt, like buy a pork shoulder because they're dirt cheap, and buy chicken thighs.
Dude, chicken thighs are where it's at. They're not only a less expensive cut, they're the least expensive cut of chicken, I feel like, and they're really good.
Yeah, a frozen bag of boneless, skinless chicken thighs is your best friend on a budget.
Yeah. And again, very versatile. You can do all kinds of flavors. And chicken thighs, I think,
They
correct me
slap.
if I'm wrong, but they're
Get it?
so
They
much. I
slap.
see what you did there. They're so much better than breasts, like as far as taste goes. I know breasts are supposed to be good for you, but listen, John, keep it together, man. Chicken breasts, all right? The upper portion of the chicken.
If you say breast one more time, I'm gonna like,
John,
pass out.
come on. I spent enough time with high schoolers.
Dude, there is a 15-year-old boy trapped inside every man over 30. Just dying to get out, and breast is the key word to get them.
That'll do it every time.
I hope the explicit filter doesn't get triggered
Right?
on this.
This used to be family friendly. Sorry, everybody. Anyway, I think chicken thighs have more flavor. That's all I'm trying to say.
Everything I could say is just going to go the wrong way at this point. I'm a big fan of chicken thighs.
Yeah.
Moving on. I really like it. No, just moving on.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think you can get sucked into thinking it's going to be budget friendly are making your own rubs.
Oh. Yeah, and that was when we were kind of researching this, that was one of the suggestions that came up. And we both called malarkey on that.
Yeah, and look, if you're doing a brisket, yes, you can do a Dalmatian rub, 50% coarse salt, 50% coarse cracked pepper, and it's great.
Yeah, works great. You
can throw a little garlic or a little paprika. You could do a salt, pepper, garlic. You probably have all of that stuff in your kitchen. But once you get past like those two basic rubs, you start ending up like looking for specific flavors. And at one point I had 4 different kinds of chili powder in my kitchen.
Yeah.
That I needed like a tablespoon of each of.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like $6 a piece.
Yeah.
So you can spend a lot of money buying the components to make your homemade rub, which sure, all in may be cheaper, but it's going to give you a gallon-sized bag of rub when you don't need it.
Well, and that's what I was going to say
just buy your rub.
You buy a rub for, let's say, $10, $12 maybe for the expensive kind. It's going to last you a lot of cooks. Like, we did... What did we do when we first did that big cook for the ward? We did like 16 pork butts or something. Do you remember that? And we got that huge thing of rub for $6.
What do we do? Was that the pork pork barrel we did?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was like a $5 big spice container, and we used one of them.
Yeah.
I think between the two.
And we did 16 pork butts.
Yeah.
And we did not, we spared no when we season them pretty heavy. And I'm not saying that you can't, like, because sometimes it's fun to kind of experiment, make your own rubs and stuff.
Yeah, but the point
strictly from a budget perspective,
just buy it.
why?
Yeah. And, like, barbecuing is becoming more and more popular. Walmart's got an awesome, wide selection. Like, Haley doesn't even want me to go down the spice aisle because I'm like, oh, that one looks cool. Let's try this one.
Dude, I was just looking at it the other day. You could spend, but again, you get one, that's for several cooks. That's not a one-time thing. I feel like when you are making a rub specific, a lot of times it's for one recipe and you've got, like you said, a gallon-sized baggie of rub that you're going to use one time.
Yeah.
And if it sucks,
and then it sucks.
then you're stuck with it.
So,
yeah.
don't get sucked into that. Same thing with sauces are the same way. I think there's a ton of flavors out there that unless you're going for like a really signature sauce and you love it and you know it and like you can't live without it, great. Like maybe it's worth it, but you're making a deliberate choice, and that's not the point of the conversation today. Like it's not on budget.
Right.
So.
And I think both of us, you're a craft guy, aren't you? You're a Casey Masterpiece or something you said.
I love Casey Masterpiece. Like, Casey Masterpiece brown sugar. Like, I don't know there's a better sauce out there.
See, and I'm a Sweet Baby Ray's guy, and it's hard to beat that, and it's one of the less expensive for a lot.
I was going to say, it's on sale this week at Macy's. 99 cents a bottle.
Yeah. And I will be headed there after this. So.
Yep. So
don't get caught up in that. I like that. Well said.
I do think there are times, though, to make an investment when you're trying to cook on a budget.
Yeah.
And sometimes that comes in the tools. Like, we've talked about this before. Having a vacuum sealer can save you a ton of money.
Yeah, I agree. And, if you're really hard up against it, use some Ziploc bags. But that vacuum sealer's so nice. Keeps everything way fresher.
Yeah.
Than bags. You're not going to have to deal with like freezer burn, stuff like that.
Well, and it helps you on two sides. Like, one, you can buy bulk meat. There's a great account on Instagram. I think it's the Meat Dad or something like that, where he talks about, he's a butcher, and he talks about, buying a whole sirloin in a bag or buying a whole rib roast in a bag, whole tenderloin, and then cutting it up to your own steaks, your own roasts, and then you throw that in a vacuum sealer, and like it will keep forever in your freezer. And a whole rib roast, even when they're not on sale, like a whole rib roast is normally $9 or $10 a pound. A ribeye is normally 19 or 20 bucks a pound. So you can literally cut it in half. And then you've got something to cut it up, seal it well, and then not lose it when you don't cook it in the next 2 months or something.
Yeah. I like that. And these vacuum sealers, even cook stuff. Like Whitney just told me the other day, you need to smoke and pull another one of those hams. Because I did that at Christmas.
Yeah.
And we've been doing it. And she'll pull it out and put it in pasta. She'll put it in salads. Like, it's so versatile. And even like on really busy nights, you pull out some pulled pork that you've cooked from the freezer and just warm it up, and you've got sandwiches.
You throw it in a pan, you warm it up, even throw it in the microwave, heat it up in that vacuum sealed pouch.
Yep.
Yeah, and you've got a meal.
Still moist, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's great. And when I'm not having this problem as often as I used to as my boys turn into teenage monsters. But it used to be like, even when I cooked, a 10-pound brisket, like I had gobs of leftovers that even if that's all I ate, I couldn't get through it all before it was time to throw it away.
Right.
You can freeze it and extend the life of it.
That's the thing. And we talk about reusing leftovers and stuff, but sometimes, especially if you've been cooking 9 pulled pork butts and, you had it for dinner that night, you're not really feeling it for lunch and dinner for the next 7 days.
Yeah.
But if you can freeze it and then pull it, it's great.
Yeah, we've done that a couple of times. And it's great.
Yeah.
And it's even nice. Like sometimes I just don't want to eat lunch meat
Right. Yeah.
for lunch, and like being able to go out and grab some picanha and warm it up and
Yeah.
have real food, like that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I like that.
So, but you hit on something like leftovers, and we've done episodes on leftovers, but I think especially on a budget, if you're planning it, can be awesome. I recently did shredded beef, and I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
But went to Costco. I bought one of those double packs of chuck roasts. It was $30, I think,
For two
for
pretty good
that
size
package.
ones.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a pretty good size chunk of meat, cooked up shredded barbecue beef, and that $30 fed my family of 5. So I've got 3 boys, my wife and I, and then my parents and my grandpa. So 5 adults, 3 kids for 2 meals.
Yeah.
And like it was great. Like it was never like, oh, I've got to suffer through this. Like we had barbecue pork or barbecue beef sandwiches one night, and the next night we did tacos.
Yeah. I like that. And I think that that's an important thing too, is if you just do pulled beef, like I mentioned, when you do pulled pork, like it's like, I don't know if I can eat this for the next week.
Yeah.
But if you can make it into a completely different flavor profile with tacos or in a casserole or whatever, it's not the same.
It's the same thing as when you go to Costco and you buy one of those rotisserie chickens, and you have a casserole, maybe you have a soup. You can use that in multiple meals. Your barbecue can be the same way, and you can add a lot of different flavors into the mix.
Yeah, and that kind of, and I can't remember if we just talked about this or not, but the meal planning aspect of it, I think, is really where you can save some money. Is planning, hey, if we cook this on Monday, we can have this on Monday, this on Wednesday, this on Friday, or something like that.
Yeah, we're going to have pulled pork sandwiches on Monday when you cook it, and then we're going to have salads, and we're going to have pulled pork pizza, later in the week. Like, there are lots of different ways you can extend a protein.
Right.
So,
Yep.
but we talked, I kind of mentioned this at the beginning, like, I think getting into smoking is another spot where you can really want to get into smoking and barbecue, and it can be kind of intimidating.
Yeah. It took me years to get a brisket.
Yeah, there are big prices involved. You and I are both huge fans of our ugly drums.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. Mine was virtually free because I used a lot of recycled materials. And we love using them. I mean, we've got nice pits now, but they're still some of my favorite, man.
Yeah. So I think there are a lot of things you can do DIY sometimes to get into it cheap. And we've talked about grills before, so we don't have to spend a ton of time on this. But an ugly drum smoker. I mean, I look at these all the time because I've got buddies that want to build them now. And you can find a drum for, easy $10 to $20 on Facebook Marketplace.
Right.
And it really doesn't matter what was in it. You just need a 55-gallon steel drum with a removable lid. And that's sometimes the hard part is a lot of the drums that are there have welded on lids. You do need one that's got a removable lid.
Right.
But from there, I think the last time I priced it out, it's about $60 worth of stuff. Because you need a grate, you need something to make your basket out of, a thermometer if you're going to get fancy, and that's a handle.
Yeah.
Like those are really the things that you need to build one of those.
Right.
And you can throw it together in a weekend.
Yeah, and I mean we have and we've talked about the designs, I think, so I'm not gonna spend a ton of time, but we have pipe nipples on the bottom of ours that you can cover up with caps. I've seen people that just drill holes and cover them with magnets, and then you can cover part of it. Like, it doesn't have to be expensive, and dude, I'll tell you what, the taste of the food dripping on those coals,
yeah, it's unreal.
Didn't we talk about a grill that they just have, you can throw charcoal in it just for the flavor dripping on the coals? Dude, it's unreal.
I think it's Malcolm Reed that
Yeah,
was talking
that's
about
right. That's what it was.
Yeah, Malcolm Reed's got one. He's got an offset that you can do that. But the other thing is, the Weber kettle, and there's lots of knockoffs like that you can buy way cheaper.
Yeah. That probably perform similarly, I'm sure.
Yeah, for a couple of cooks, they'll be fine. I don't know anything stands up to the test of time and has the longevity of a Weber.
Mine's gotten the crap kicked out of it, and it's still fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
But I think you do that, and for $80, you can get an 18-inch for $100. You can get a new 22-inch, and dude, you can cook all sorts of things in one of those.
Yeah.
Use a snake method, use a heat deflector, and you can low and slow cook a pork shoulder for 8 to 12 hours if you have to in one of them.
Yeah, you can.
So,
and I didn't realize that until years after owning a Weber, that you could low and slow something in it and make some pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Lots of options there for a good budget-friendly cooker.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. I mean, and we've talked about the origins of barbecue. People used to just dig holes and put some coals in them. So
yeah, I mean that's barbacoa.
Yeah,
that's still a very popular method of. Let's take the cow's head, which is the only thing that we don't sell at the market. Put it in a pot and bury it in the ground and build a fire on top of it.
Yeah.
So lots of options there. So I think the moral of the story is barbecue's delicious. It doesn't have to be expensive if you're up against a budget.
For sure.
And just go do it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Just do it. It's not rocket science. We love it, and so we're always talking about different techniques and crap. I mean, people have been cooking meat over fire in caves for millions of years. Just do it and have fun with it. That's the key, I think, is just to enjoy it. So.
Alrighty. Well, I think you've got it.
Yeah.
Go save some money. Or don't.
Do whatever you want. Who are we to tell you what to do?
But if your wife asks, John and Mike had some great budget ideas that you need to try out.
100%.
To have barbecue all week long and save your family money.
There you go.
So
it's a win-win.
Until next time, I'm John.
I'm Mike.
And we are Fat Guys with Smokers. Thanks for listening to the Fat Guys with Smokers podcast. Be sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to subscribe so you don't forget to tune in for even more nonsense from a couple of Fat Guys with Smokers.
Don't forget to subscribe.